In this video, we are trying to understand what is total utility, what is marginal utility, and the relationship between total utility and marginal utility. Now let us understand what is total utility. Well, total utility is sum of all the utilities derived from the successive consumption of all the unit consumed. Little technical to understand. In simple terms, total utility, as the name suggests, is total of all the utilities, or I would say marginal utilities derived from all the products consumed successively, which means it's total of all the utilities, marginal utilities. And the another term, marginal utility. Margin means extra. So what is marginal utility? Is an extra utility derived or additional utility derived due to additional consumption or one extra consumption of the commodity is called as marginal utility. In a nutshell, I'll try to explain this in a simple term and then the whole concept with a nice example. So in a nutshell, what is total utility? Is sum of or total of all the utilities created by all the unit consumed. And what is marginal utility? It's an additional utility or extra utility created by an additional unit or an extra unit is called as marginal utility. Now, let's try and understand this whole concept of total utility, marginal utility and their relationship with the help of a very nice example. In this example, I'll try to explain you the relationship between total utility, marginal utility with the help of a table or a chart and a graph. So let's try and understand this example. I have a friend of mine who has his birthday. That a friend of mine called as Sumit. I have decided that I will celebrate his birthday by giving him one after the other the chocolates, the dairy milks, and I'll ask him to consume at the same time. So what has happened? In the morning, I went to him, Sumit, happy birthday. Now let's have this chocolate. Sumit got very excited. He ate the chocolate and his satisfaction derived out of eating those chocolate was 100 units. Since he was empty stomach and the chocolate created a happiness, excitement, so the utility of the first chocolate was very high. Once he finished the first chocolate, I immediately gave him the second chocolate and asked him, since your birthday, you're not gonna stop eating chocolate, you're gonna continuously eat chocolates one after the other. So he said, okay, I'm fine, I'm happy with chocolates. So I gave him second chocolate. Now what has happened? As the excitement for the first chocolate was there, the same excitement was slightly lesser because his taste buds, his tongue was little satisfied with the first chocolate. So the amount of satisfaction for the second chocolate was slightly less. He got 80 units of satisfaction. So what do I understand? Already after the first chocolate, he had 100 units of satisfaction. After the second chocolate consumption, he had 80 units of satisfaction. So can I simply add and say how much is the total satisfaction? The total satisfaction is 100 plus 80, 180 units. And what will be the marginal satisfaction? Well, for first chocolate, the satisfaction was 100 units. For the second chocolate, as from first chocolate we went to the second chocolate, the additional unit gave me a marginal advantage of or extra satisfaction of 80 units. So what do I understand? After consumption of second chocolate, my total satisfaction became 180 units and my marginal satisfaction was 18 minutes. Here, I want momentarily stop for the example and want to explain a point. The point is why the marginal satisfaction is less for second job. Any answers? Any guessings? Let's understand. If you happen to remember, one of the features of utility is based on intensity of want. Higher the want, higher will be the utility and higher will be the satisfaction. So what has happened? After the first chocolate consumption, the want for the chocolate has slightly satisfied. So the intensity of want was no longer same, but it reduced a bit. As the intensity reduced a bit, the satisfaction derived from same want has gone down a bit. And that's where from the second chocolate, the extra benefit or extra satisfaction was only 80 units and it has reduced. So what do I understand? Why the marginal satisfaction reduced? Because there was a slight amount of satisfaction with the repeated use of the commodity. And that's where the want of intensity is reduced, that's where the satisfaction level reduced and the utility has reduced. Now let's get back to the example. Now what has happened? I went to the third chocolate. I gave him the third chocolate. No, Sumit, you have to eat it. So he ate it. But now what has happened? Already he has ate 2 chocolates. So he was fairly satisfied with those 2 chocolates. So after consumption of third chocolate, his happiness, satisfaction level was even less. So he only got 60 units of satisfaction. So what do I understand? With third unit of chocolate, he only got 60 units of satisfaction. And understand what has happened. His total satisfaction was earlier 180 plus 60, it became 240 units. And the extra satisfaction from third chocolate was only 16 units. That we call it as marginal utility. Why again the decrease? Let us understand the same logic. As he has already consumed, so he was slightly satisfied. The satisfaction level was higher. So intensity, want of the next chocolate was lesser. That's where the utility was less. The fourth chocolate, he got additional satisfaction of only 40 units. So now the total satisfaction became 280 units and the marginal satisfaction for the fourth chocolate was 40 units. And it reduced because of the same reason that as you getting satisfied, the intensity for want of the chocolate was reduced. And that's where the marginal utility has reduced. With the fifth chocolate, it becomes only 20 additional units and total satisfaction was of 300 units. On the sixth chocolate, he said, enough, Amit. I don't want to eat anything. I have enough of happiness. Now I don't get any satisfaction. I want to celebrate his birthday by hook or crook. So I gave him 6 chocolates. Now what has happened? Because of my pressure, he ate the 6th chocolate but did not satisfy it. So additional satisfaction was 0. So what has happened? With 6 chocolate, there was no satisfaction. So there is no increase in total satisfaction. The total satisfaction was only 300 units, remained same. So even though he consumed the next chocolate, but there he was not happy, not satisfied at all. I pushed him for the next chocolate, the final one, the 6th one, and he was about to vomit. I mean it. He said, I'm gonna vomit. Amit, stop it. I said, Sumit, you have to eat it since your birthday. By hook or crook, I bought it, you have to eat it. So with my pressure, he ate. But his satisfaction, instead of becoming happy, he became dissatisfied. So with the next chocolate, he had a minus 20 of happiness or satisfaction. So his total utility became, rather than increasing, it became 280 units. But his marginal utility has gone negative, minus 20 units. Now let us understand this whole example one more time with the chart and a graph, and you'll see what is happening. Now, in this chart, I'll write down the quantity of chocolate on the first column, then the utility derived from the specific chocolate, we'll call this as marginal utility, and the total utility till that chocolate. Okay? So, with the first chocolate, the happiness was very high, so the utility was very high, so marginal utility was 100 units and total utility also is 100. With the second chocolate, the satisfaction has already achieved to an extent, so the happiness reduced a bit, and that's where the marginal utility has gone down a bit. And so only 80 units of marginal utility has been added, and the total happiness or total utility became what? 100 plus 80, 180 units. With the third, again the satisfaction level has increased, so the intensity of want reduced and the marginal utility added by the third chocolate reduced. It became only 60 units. So total utility became 100 plus 80 plus 60 to 40 units. With the fourth unit, it just added 40 additional marginal utility as the satisfaction was already high. So the intensity was less for consumption, and that's where added utility was less. So only with the fourth chocolate, only 40 units of marginal utility has added, and the total utility became 100 plus 80 plus 60 plus 40. It became what? 280. With the fifth chocolate, only 20 units of utility has added because of the fifth chocolate. So the marginal utility was only 20 units and total utility became 100 plus 80 plus 60 plus 40 plus 20, 300 units. Now, so it was fairly satisfied. But because of my pressure, he ate the sixth chocolate. But he was 100% satisfied. So the additional benefit derived from the next chocolate was 0. So the total utility was same, 300 units, and added utility for the sixth chocolate was 0. For the seventh chocolate, things have gone worse. He said, I am on the verge of vomiting, please don't feed me more chocolate. So instead of satisfying him, I was actually dissatisfying him. So the additional benefit or additional satisfaction was not there, but there was a dissatisfaction of 20 units minus 20 units. So what did I understood out of that? That there was a decrease in marginal utility of 20 units. And my total utility became what? 100 plus 80 plus 60 plus 40 plus 20 plus 0 minus 20 became 280 units. The same thing, if I try to see on a graph, I try to plot the same thing on a graph. Let us understand, on the x-axis it is number of chocolates and on the y-axis it is utility units. And on the same graph, I'm going to plot two things. It's marginal utility graph and total utility graph. Now what has happened? For the first chocolate, I understood marginal utility was 100 and total utility was also 100. So you get this point. In the second chocolate, what has happened? The marginal utility has reduced because of increase in the satisfaction level, but total utility has increased and become 180 points. On the third chocolate, when I try to plot this graph, the third chocolate gave an added units of only 60 units, but my total utility has increased again and become 240 units. On the fourth chocolate, only 40 units were added and my total utility became 280 units. On the fifth chocolate, it's just 20 units. And on the sixth chocolate, what do you understand? That there was no added benefit. So the utility was 0. The graph was touching on x-axis. And total utility remains same, 300 units. On the seventh chocolate, actually it was not satisfaction, but it was dissatisfaction. And the utility derived from that specific product or point was only minus negative. It went below x-axis. Look at this point. And my total utility now started dipping. You can see that. When I look at this and I join these lines, if I join those marginal utility points, I get a straight line going downward. And if I see a total utility point, initially it goes up, then remains same, and then it goes down. Let us understand this graph. What do I understand? That as there is an increase in repetitive consumption of a specific commodity, there was a decrease in marginal utility. And there was an initial increase and then there was a stability at maximum level reached and then there was a reduction in the total utility. Now identify few points of this chart. Look here at the first commodity. When only first chocolate is consumed, what do I observe? My marginal utility and total utility is 100 units. So for first commodity consumed, my marginal utility and total utility are equal. As I keep on increasing the consumption, repeated consumption of commodity, in this case chocolate, what did I observe? I observed that the marginal utility started reducing. So I understand that for second product onwards, marginal utility was keep on going down, and that you can see from the graph is going down. But my total utility is actually increasing. And on the sixth chocolate, my marginal utility became zero. There was no added satisfaction. When my total utility reached maximum level. And after this point, my marginal utility went down, negative. My total utility went down, but remained positive. So I understand next point that my marginal utility can be positive, negative, or zero, but my total utility is always positive. Initially, marginal utility is always keep on going down, but my total utility initially goes up, goes to a maximum, and then reduces. That's how I understand the relationship between total utility and marginal